is my last video as the host of Bengals Breakdown by Chat Sports, and I just want to thank each and every one of you guys out there for tuning in and showing love towards me and the channel over the past year and change. Was brought on here at Chat Sports back in April of 2024, and I've loved every second that I've spent with this incredible company. Certainly want to thank James Yoder and Brett Scott. They, of course, run the show here at Chat Sports for bringing me in. Can't thank them enough, and can't thank you guys enough for your support as well. As far as what I'll be doing, not going to dive into that here on today's show, but I'll still be out there on the internet. Make sure you give me a follow at StoneShields_. I will still be talking about sports out there, but it's been an incredible run here at Chat Sports, here at Bengals Breakdown, and just very appreciative and grateful for what I've been able to do over the past year and change. As far as who is going to be taking over, still certainly working through that here at this point, but I can promise we will have you covered all season long here at Bengals Breakdown with a different host as far as Bengals news, rumors, updates, you name it, throughout the preseason and the regular season as well. So I will be passing the baton off to someone else. But make sure you are still subscribed to us here at Bengals Breakdown. When I was the host, unable to quite get to 20,000 subscribers, but we are going to be able to accomplish that very soon after I leave. So help us out, hit that sub button, youtube.com/BengalsTV. We are almost there, and our goal still is to get there before preseason game 1. Obviously, only a few more days to go before that game occurs, but help us out, hit that sub button, youtube.com/BengalsTV. All right, let's do this one last time. Let's talk Bengals training camp, of course, here on today's show. Let's talk the offense, right? We've spent a lot of time talking about the defense, and it's seemingly year in and year out at training camp, people are like, oh, the defense, they're playing really well. The offense kind of is struggling a little bit, and then the regular season comes, and then what happens? It's the offense, and then the defense can't certainly produce out there on the football field. At least that's what it was as far as the story in 2023. In 2024, hopefully the defense, of course, is a much better unit, but we've kind of been waiting for the offense to fully break out, and we got that today. Yesterday, of course, the Bengals had a practice in their stadium. Fans were there in attendance. They've obviously done that for several years now. That's a really cool thing to be a part of. Saw some great stuff there, but then they were back here on Sunday participating as well. Let's talk Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow is having the best training camp of his career. Now, you might be saying, well, he hasn't really had many training camps in his career. Fair statement right there. But when you hear Joe Burrow talk, he's clearly happy with where he's at personally as a player, and the throws he's making, the athleticism he's showing. He had a run today. He was kind of scrambling and did a little spin move there as well. He looks really, really good. He looks really, really agile. He's got zip on his passes as well, and I think everybody should be really excited about Joe Burrow, because a lot of people nationally are kind of suggesting, oh, he's not going to be able to do what he did last year. Like, he's going to have to take at least a small step back. I don't believe that's the case. I believe he's going to continue to get better and better and better, especially with the same offense this year. Same guy, offensive coordinator, Dan Pitcher. Of course, Zach Taylor, still the head coach, calling the plays. Same core guys offensively as well, and he made some really good plays throughout the duration of practice. A couple of nice plays to D. Higgins, Jamar Chase, of course, as well, and Tanner Hudson also stepping up and making some big plays for the Cincinnati Bengals. But let me know at the pin comment of today, do you guys think Joe Burrow can be better this year than he was last year? I think he can, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section of today's show. Type Y for yes or N for no. Spend a little time talking about Tanner Hudson, right? We're going to talk injuries at the back half of today's show, and there are several key ones that we are going to discuss. But the Bengals, of course, brought in Noah Fant a couple of days ago to be a tight end on this football team, and a lot of people, myself included, kind of said, okay, Tanner Hudson, that's kind of his ticket out of here with Noah Fant coming in. But with the injury to Mike Gesicki, again, we'll talk about that more in depth later on. Tanner Hudson was getting a lot of reps today, and he was showing up. At a touchdown from Joe Burrow, you could tell he was really fired up there on the football field. And it's going to be a work in progress for Noah Fant, right? Obviously, he's only been with this team for a few days. It's a lot to learn. This offense isn't as simplistic as it once was, right? It's Joe Burrow, as I just mentioned. A lot of the same guys are back. It's going to get more and more complex each and every year, and that's hard for a guy to come in and learn it right away. And that's kind of been the takeaway from a lot of beat reporters and guys covering the team, guys and ladies, of course, covering the team, is that, hey, Noah Fant, it's, taking him a little bit to get going here because there's just so much to learn. Tanner Hudson, of course, has been around here for a couple of years now, and with Gesicki going out, he's gotten more reps, and he's been able to do some good things, and you certainly saw that on the football field today. I kind of felt like, there was really no shot that Hudson would be sticking around after Fant, but He's balling out here at training camp. We'll see how things go in the preseason as well. But T. Higgins and Jamar Chase continue to make plays. T. Higgins had an incredible catch in the back of the end zone. There's highlights, of course, all over Twitter, all over social media. James Rapine has a bunch of stuff, of course, on his channel, Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I encourage you guys to go over there and check that out had you not done so already. But T. Higgins, there was one where it got broken up. I believe it was Jordan Battle. He's kind of been a bit of a menace here in training camp. There was debate. Did he have it? Was he out of bounds? There's video of that up online as well. But T. Higgins has been sure-handed for the most part throughout the duration of training camp to this point. He's making big plays. Jamar Chase is making big plays. And, man, if those guys can stay healthy, the sky is absolutely the limit for them. Same with Joe Burrow, of course, but so excited for that trio of guys and also certainly excited for all the weaponry around them as well for the Cincinnati Bengals here in 2025. All right, let's talk injuries here on today's show. There's 3 big ones that I want to talk about before we, in fact, get out of here on today's video. Let's start with Amarius Mims. Amarius Mims is quickly becoming one of my favorite players on this football team. He, of course, was your first-round draft pick last year. Kind of was thrust into duty, right, when Trent Brown got hurt. I think the Bengals were kind of anticipating, we'll go Trent Brown at that right side, and then, we'll give Amarius a little bit of time before we put him in there. He had injuries, and then he had the season-ending injury, and then it was, all right, you're in, Amarius, let's see what you got. And I thought he did a terrific job as a rookie. And now hearing Scott Peters talk, of course, the new offensive line coach, it's kind of interesting because he was like, Amarius as a tackle, as an offensive lineman in this league, he's got to learn to play through injury. And that's kind of what they're doing right now with him at this point. Amarius Mims actually did talk to the media today. He didn't go into specifics, but he's currently dealing with a wrist hand-thumb issue on his right hand. And that's just something that, he said he has to work through at this point. And look, he said he plans to still play on Thursday in the preseason opener. And keep in mind, if Joe Burrow is out there playing, as Zach Taylor has alluded to, and Joe Burrow has spoke on as well, we all want Amarius Mims to be out there to protect him, right? Because the last thing we want is Joe Burrow taking massive shots in the preseason. But thought it was interesting that Scott Peters kind of came out there and said that. Mims did have a ton of injuries at Georgia. That was kind of one of the main red flags. Also, a lot of people thought he was kind of a raw prospect, but had injuries last year as well, and that was kind of something that he just has to, learn to play through. It's the NFL, right? Guys are hurt at all times, especially those linemen. They are constantly beat up. I thought he did a great job playing through injury last year. They're kind of trying to make that the standard for Amarius Mims, and they're going to continue to push him, right? He didn't practice when all the fans were there when they were practicing in Paycor Stadium. He was back in practice today, and he said that his plan is to go on Thursdays. That is interesting, of course. Big fan of Amarius Mims. I think when OBJ is done playing here, they want him to shift over to the left side. This coaching staff has a lot of love and respect and really believes in Amarius Mims. We'll see if this hand, thumb, wrist injury happens to affect him at all going forward. Okay, Mike Gesicki, let's talk about him. He suffered a hamstring injury, and people don't exactly know when he is going to be back. Obviously, you want to take it slow with hamstrings, right? I believe that took place in the practice that was at Paycor Stadium. He did not practice yesterday. That's what allowed, as we talked about earlier in the show, Tanner Hudson to get more reps today at practice, and he did a great job with those reps. Gesicki obviously is a very important part of this offense. He was brought back here. He was a free agent. Joe Burrow wanted him back. Jamar Chase wanted him back. They all wanted him back. He came back. Hamstring issue. It happens. It's training camp. Guys are getting hurt around the league. You see it. If you follow the NFL, it's just part of the NFL, right? Guys get hurt in training camp, and then you got to see how far do you push it, right? Do you rush them back just to get more reps, or do you kind of say, all right, we'll reevaluate come week 1 and see if you're ready to go? I don't know how serious it is for Mike Gesicki. When Zach Taylor addresses the media this week, we will have a better idea of that, but he did not practice today with a hamstring injury, and as I mentioned, you always do want to take it slow with those hamstring injuries because they can linger throughout the duration of a season. Let's talk Cam Taylor-Britt to close out today's show. He has not been practicing either. He did not practice at Paycor Stadium, and he did not practice again today here on Sunday. He's been off to the side on the rehab fields. I don't know exactly what his injury is at this point, but the Bengals need him to be good this year, right? There was a lot of questions. I think going into last year, people thought Cam Taylor-Britt was going to be your lockdown corner, and kind of turn into a superstar. That's not how it went. He got benched several times throughout the course of the 2024 season by Lou Anarumo. And obviously, under his rookie contract, Bengals weren't going to part ways. He was coming back regardless. He was an early pick. And, the expectations that, he's going to figure it out and play better this year under Al Golden. But has an injury. Again, don't know the details of it at this point. But Bengals need him out there because that corner, man, that really gets, concerning pretty quickly, right? DJ Turner had a really bad start to training camp. He's been better over the past few days. Looks like, he's definitely probably going to be a starter, right? At this point, especially if you don't have Cam Taylor-Britt. I know Josh Newton has done a tremendous job, and I think some people would say they would rather have Newton over Turner. That's something to monitor here. Dax Hill obviously is going to be out there in some regard, but he's coming back from an injury in his own right, too. So lots of questions there at corner. Marco Wilson, who you brought back in free agency, also dealing with an injury as well. So things are getting a little dicey at that cornerback spot. They already were thin coming into training camp. And now with this injury to Cam Taylor-Britt, certainly getting thinner as well. But that will do it for today's show. Again, I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in over the duration of the past year and change. Can't thank you guys enough from the bottom of my heart. And there will be a new host here at Bengals Breakdown. I'm sure he will do a terrific job, whoever that is. And make sure you stay loyal to the channel, as they will have plenty of content for you here at Bengals Breakdown by Chat Sports. Take care, everybody.